Hi, it's Harry, Welby-Cooke from ActionCOACH Business and Executive Coaching. And in our series, as we introduce you to more of our coaches and really get to know the person behind the coach, it's a great honor to have Trevor Clark join us all the way from KZN. And he's been with us a long time. We'll unpack that story now. So, Trev, thanks for joining us. Really looking forward to the session with you.
Hey, awesome. Thanks for having me. And yeah, always a pleasure to reconnect. We don't see each other as often as we should anymore. So, good to see you.
So Trevor's is one of our old farts, and I say that with the greatest respect because he's part of our Red Fellies Club. If you've been with us for 10 years, you joined the Red Fellies Club. And Trevor, you've been through, an interesting journey over that period. But let's take it back to the days of before ActionCOACH. You worked in a range of different Middle Eastern countries. So what were you up to and where did you all work in and around the Middle East?
Yeah, I've been around a little bit. I actually lived in about, 5 countries now, Harry, over the course of my life or career. So, yeah, before discovering ActionCOACH, I'd been in the Middle East for just under 10 years. I stand corrected, exactly maybe 9.5, just short of 10 years. I'd actually been across looking for an opportunity to make some money so I could buy my own business. That was always the goal when I headed across. Had a position in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which was the goal to kind of get across, save some money and come back and buy a franchise. I'd always been wanting to buy a franchise. I'd always wanted my own business. And I'd love franchises. I used to be a regular at franchise exhibitions. I was a member of the South African Franchise Association, getting their newsletters. And I looked at everything from food franchises to business to panel beating franchises to you name it. And I love the idea of a franchise. I love the success rate was obviously so much higher than standalone businesses, but never found what I was looking for. But back in those days, when I realized I didn't have the money to buy a franchise. So hence the idea of moving overseas. And I took a 2-year contract in Saudi. And while I was there, one of the businesses I was working for offered me a position full-time in Bahrain. So they were heading up or expanding their presence in the Middle East. It was actually a London-based company. And yes, I took a position there in business development as a design and communications consultancy. And yeah, from there, I just fell in love with the industry. I worked in corporate communications and marketing and ended up spending 8.5 years with that business and grew within the company. I ended up as the MD of the company, so living in Bahrain for a while. And then we actually moved the entire company to Dubai. So the last 5 years of my time in the Middle East was Dubai, and then discovered ActionCOACH and sold my shares in that company, bought this business, this franchise from you. Thank you again. And yeah, I've been coaching for 12, approaching 13 years now, full-time here in South Africa.
So a 2-year contract with a view of making some money, almost a decade, you're in the Middle East. And you did almost the opposite of what a lot of South Africans either did or think of doing, where people are looking to leave, you look to saying, no, I'm coming home. And you chose to come back to South Africa and then to be based in KZN in Durban. So before we talk why ActionCOACH and that part, what was the motivation to come back to South Africa and to really invest back home?
Yeah, but that's a question I obviously got asked a lot at the time. People were going, oh my gosh, what are you doing going back to South Africa? And even now, sometimes people say, why are you back? Because we still have this exodus of people. But, I think we have an exodus and we have a re-influx. People leave and do come back. We don't see those statistics. But yeah, for me, I was always keen to get back to South Africa. It was never a long-term deal. It wasn't an immigration or anything. It was a 2-year contract to earn some US dollars and move back to the country. So that was always the goal. And I'd lived overseas multiple times in my life. Before then, I'd lived in Europe for a couple of years as a youngster. And, so for me, being expatriate was keen, and I love travel. I love being in different countries. So I think the thing I always found is, and especially in the Middle East, I love the international community. You go out to dinner, you go out for lunch, your friends are from all around the world. So around a table, you've got South Africans, Australians, Lebanese, Americans, Canadians, Indian, Filipino, people from all over the world all sitting around comparing notes. And you hear how people are unhappy everywhere. There's challenges in every country around the world. What what I found is most people from other countries preferred being in the Middle East, where most South Africans would prefer to be back home. So it was always the plan to come back. I never expected to be gone that long. I was really enjoying what I was doing. And I think if you love what you do, it doesn't matter where you are. You can be happy anywhere.
Agreed. So you mentioned you love franchising. You'd always looked at that as an opportunity. We then ran an advert and our paths kind of crossed, and you became a coach in 2009 already. But what was the attraction to become a business coach? Why take those years of experience, come back home and actually plow it back into coaching entrepreneurs and executives?
Yeah, so it's a good question. And it's funny you mentioned that. I actually was looking for it this morning when I knew we were connecting. So I know I'd cut out it was an advert, I think an Entrepreneur magazine that you had been running back in early 2009, become a business coach. It was never on my radar. I was reading Entrepreneur magazine, looking for opportunities as I did regularly. And I thought, become a business coach. I thought, oh, this sounds cool. I knew what business coaching was. We'd obviously, in our business overseas, we'd engaged coaches and consultants to work on us. So I loved the idea of the industry or what have you. It had never sort of occurred to me to become one myself. But then I read into it and made application, and your team back in Pretoria in those days took me through the due diligence process. And the more I looked into it, the more I just loved the idea. It just ticked so many boxes of what would be a business I believed I could do, a business I believed would give me great gratification, and and allow us to do a lot of really cool stuff. So yeah, I suppose the short answer was it wasn't even remotely on my radar, but then I realized it's something that would really be a great thing to do.
And it's amazing because I think a lot of people that have been with our team so long are in a similar position, but in particular with you, when you talk about coaching, when you talk about your clients, you still have that enthusiasm and that same excitement that you had in 2009. So there's obviously something here that you love doing. What is that gets you up in the morning and still excited today as you were in 2009?
That's a really good question. I guess, natural energy anyway. I mean, I don't like to do the same thing twice, and I don't like to sit still. But I think what I love is being behind the scenes in coaching, as we get to work in so many different industries, so many different clients, so many different businesses. And that's something that appealed to me from day one, and I realized it was the right call for me, is I'm naturally curious. So it's always meeting new clients and learning about them, learning about their business, understanding how different industries tick. A typical day, you can see anything between 4 to 6 or 7 businesses in one day in individual coaching sessions. And, you'll start the morning working with a plumber, then an accountant, then a farmer, then an engineering business, then coaching another coach. There's all these businesses that are so very different. And then you also realize that they're so very similar, because the challenges, even though the industries are so unique, the challenges are common. The challenges of growing businesses. So I find that fascinating, is learning and learning myself as we teach others as well.
So this is going to be a difficult question maybe for you, because you've had so many clients and you've impacted so many people. But if you look back on the journey, and maybe there's not just one, maybe there's a few examples that stick out. What are some of your proudest moments? What are some of your highlights in having worked with businesses and business owners?
Yeah, I suppose our industry is a bit of a double-edged sword. Yeah, I think we live and die vicariously through our clients. When our clients are having a good month, we're having a good month. And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as coaches, wanting our clients to all succeed at a very high level. And obviously everybody gets results at different levels, just like a gym program or a fitness program. There's people that go all in, and there's people that kind of go so in. But I think what I love is just the amazing success stories where we have some clients that just dive into what we do, read the books, do the exercises, and we see those results. So some of my highlights, I mean, there's many like it, but 1 or 2 clients in particular that literally tripled their business within 1 year. I mean, that's phenomenal to do things like that, where you look at industry trends and you see what does a typical business regard as a good year. And, people look for, let's just keep ahead of inflation and 10, 20, 30% revenue, like top line growth. And you see businesses tripling profitability and things like that. And clients that directly say, I couldn't have done this without my coach. There's a lot of pride in that, to know that you really had an impact on really growing profits, but especially those businesses that have grown and created more jobs and, more breadwinners that have jobs because of the work we do helping businesses grow. I take real pride in that.
We often joke and say, client that's getting 30, 40% growth is a lazy client, because we've got examples where you're tripling in the space of 12 months. But you touched on a side that I think is quite important. Top line's great, bottom line is great, but it's not just about that. We coach people, we transform lives, both the business owner, their family, and the lives of staff and other staff that they take on. So what are some of those personal transformations that you see when you get the business right? What are some of the benefits personally that people see through working with you?
Yeah, that's true, because we always measure it in terms of profitability, and that's obviously what you, as coaches as well as business owners, what you want to see, because that's measurable runs on the board. The profit and loss account doesn't lie. That's what shows us how we're doing there. But often it's exactly that. It's the less measurable stuff. As you say, personal growth, confidence, people growing their skills, entrepreneurs, and being willing to grow further. Time management is a big one. People that are buried in the business suddenly starting to have a life again and spending time with their families. And I remember years ago, one of my clients, we were running an interview at the offices, and it was in coaching we teach an interview process called the 4-hour recruitment process, and we had our 2 or 3 favorite candidates. It was myself and the client and his wife, who was actually doing the books for the business. And we're sort of just bouncing, showing people the job role and the spec and what's expected. And I had the client and his wife both explain their expectations of the successful candidates. And my client's wife stood up with all the candidates applying for the job and say, listen, my husband was working 7 days a week, coming home at 10 o'clock every evening and going into work at 5 in the morning. He says, I want my husband back. So the measure for you of being successful in your job is that my husband gets home in daylight hours and can have supper with our 3 daughters he had. And so obviously that we can do that through recruiting the right people, but importantly, the systems and the processes putting in place for people is freeing up life again, because I think too many business owners are being underpaid and underappreciated and overworked, and reversing that burnout is a key part of what we do.
So any side of the business that's frustrating when working with because we work with people, right? So people can be most exciting and rewarding, but can be quite frustrating too. Anything that frustrates you about certain clients, or maybe the way they engage with you as their coach?
Not so much about clients themselves. I mean, everybody's in a different space, and we all, like all of us, there's weeks that we're on form and delivering the goods. There's weeks that we aren't on form. I think there's no sort of linear progression where everybody gets better every day. Yes, we get better over time, but there's ups and downs. I guess one of the frustrations of the business is I guess it's speed, how fast people want to go. It's always easy as the coach on the outside. You can see all the opportunity, you can see the benefit, you can see what needs to be done, and that's just so easy, or it seems so easy. And that's always we have to be quite conscious as a coach. Is you're not the one on the field. It's the business owner who's playing the cards he's dealt in that moment. So just like all of us can watch rugby or soccer or football and say, why did you go blindside when you should have passed to the open side? It's very easy from the outside perspectives. And obviously as coaches, we're not armchair spectators, but it's our clients that are on the field. And often it's about sort of seeing, are they able to play those, or are they seeing those opportunities? But again, that's the level of the coaching. We get better and better as coaches over time. But to answer your question, I think one of the other frustrations I would say is actually the guys that don't engage us. We meet business owners all the time that are having, either they're in trouble in the business and they're having some real frustrations. They meet up with us and they will say, I want to fix this, I want to fix this. and we show them a roadmap on how we can help them fix that, and they don't engage. But they don't just not engage us, they don't engage anybody. Like, people don't engage a different coach or a consultant or something. Often people are perfectly happy being unhappy. And I think that's quite tragic, to be honest. Is for me, often we see potential in people's businesses that they don't see in their own business. And but that's the reality. Everybody wants a different thing out of their business. Some people just want to pay the bills every month, which is absolutely fine. Other people want to grow legacy businesses. Then that's what we look for as coaches, as people that have big goals and big dreams and want to build a business that can outlive them. That's exciting work to do as a coach, is building those bigger, more robust businesses. Because it's hard work building a business. You're going to work hard, you might as well build something bigger. You're going to work just as hard. So
I think too, touching on that point around, people will moan about their current reality or want more from their life, but the biggest competitor almost for us is them doing nothing. Not that they even go do something with somebody else, they just do nothing, which can be quite frustrating. So if I'm that person, I'm listening to this interview going, I've got a business. Yeah, of course, there's things we can improve. I'm sure, of course, we can do so much better, but I'm kind of stuck in the rut for whatever reason. Why should I take on a coach? What do you think the real benefit for me would be listening to you, or taking on an Action Coach business coach?
Oh, well, I suppose just to qualify that question, we get a lot of guys that are stuck in a rut, and that's why they come to us, people in pain in business. But also to clarify, is like, not a majority of our clients actually aren't in pain. They are often good businesses that are doing really well and saying, we've grown to this level, we believe we can take it to an entirely new level, and they're not in trouble at all. The guys in trouble, actually, we can help. That's what we do. And I think, to answer your question, is very often the people that are in trouble, the benefit of having a coach is that outside perspective. Very often people, they're in trouble, they don't know why. There's often some very core skills that they don't have, and very often don't even know they need those skills, especially when we start working on the finances with them and financial management and getting a proper marketing and plan. So very often that's why people are in trouble, is you don't know what you don't know. And as soon as somebody helps you paint out a roadmap to get you out of trouble and holds you accountable to it, off you go. So that's what coaching is. I find the bigger businesses, though, the bigger, more established businesses that don't think they need a coach, those are the ones in particular we get the best results with, because often we expose them to ideas they hadn't even thought of and scratch away at opportunities that they hadn't delivered yet. And just being that safe space to brainstorm and be challenged on your thinking. And that's probably the main thing, is are people willing to be challenged on their thinking? Because we often think we've got it all sorted, and those are some of the best breakthroughs we have, as the clients that don't think they need us. And we open their eyes to all sorts of opportunities, and they get results even a lot faster.
Absolutely. And I think it is exactly that. Like you said, I've grown my business to this level, but I could probably take it to that net level. I need the outside perspective to do that and to be challenged to go there. So you also been operating in a difficult environment, never mind COVID and the shenanigans of the whole world. We've had the looting and rioting, we've had the flooding, KZN in particular has been really hard hit. So I'm a KZN business person. I've got a business. I'm passionate about my business, my staff, my team, my country. But I'm a little bit panel beaten by all the issues and the challenges and stuff like that. What advice do you have for me?
Sure. Move to Cape Town. No, I'm joking. Cape Town. KZN has felt a little bit like the problem child lately, where we, for some reason, our mom and dad don't love us. But life happens, I think always in life there's times where it's business as normal, and then there's times where you've got some extraordinary challenges, and we've definitely had our share of extraordinary challenges lately in Cape Town, but in KZN. But yeah, for me, it's about keep going. There's that lovely quotation by Winston Churchill. He says, when you're going through hell, keep going. The last thing you want to stop, because you're just going to be living in whatever reality is at the moment. There's some amazing opportunity out there. We've got businesses that are having record quarters, record years. Right now here in Durban and broader KZN, people that are actually shooting the lights out, and often in industries that you wouldn't expect that to be happening. So the opportunity is very much out there, and I think that your reality is shaped by who you hang out with. You know, you're hanging out with people that are very doom and gloom and, oh my gosh, you know, let's get on a plane and leave the country and move to semi-great to Cape Town or other areas or overseas. Or you're hanging around with people that are growth-minded, looking at opportunities, pushing each other. And that's one of the things we love, is getting groups of clients together that give each other that positive space to push each other and obviously collectively grow their businesses.
Brilliant. And I think, you know, an indirect benefit of working with a coach or being part of this Action Coach community in any way is the like-minded people, is the people that have your back, that have similar challenges, frustrations, opportunities, and that can support you through that. So Trev, thanks for joining us. I think anybody listening to this will really see the credibility, the experience you bring to the coaching game. Lots of obviously experience since 2009 in this business, but the care and the passion for what you do and making a difference with others. And you know, you're a valuable member of the team, and we look forward to many thousands of people that will still be impacted by your wonderful coaching. So if you're listening to this and you have a business, you don't have to look any further. The nicest guy, but he's going to push you for results, as you heard. You know, triple your business in the first year, very important. So thanks, Trev. Thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure, Harry. Thanks for having me.